FPL has only been back for a few days and already some people need a holiday. And I am considering a trip to knee-jerk City myself, and I am prepared to pay up to 8 points for the privilege. So I am here today to talk through the options before I make the decision, because this has been playing on my mind for 2 nights now. 2 nights I've been weighing up the options, and I think it's going to be time to go. If I go for some menu, I've already lost a bit of value, but we're not too concerned about that at this stage. We will cross the road into the industrial estate. There, of course, is the famous park. I told you about one of my famous memories down there, missing the penalty, kicking the ground, taking the penalty for my junior team. The ball trickling to one side, the keeper diving the wrong way, and then standing up. And then the keeper, it was such a bad penalty, the keeper was able to stand up, walk back to the other side of the goal and pick it up. And it was embarrassing. You know, I'd never scored for my junior team, and that's what happened with the big chance. And it feels a bit like this is happening again for me, because in FPL terms this time instead, I've not really planned this very well with this all this traffic, have I? Bloody hell. So yeah, that's the famous bit where I kicked the ground, the penalty trickled over, the keeper dived the wrong way, stood up and went and picked it up. And it feels a little bit like that's what's happening with my FPL season already. I've got the big chance, finally a goal for my junior team beckons, and here I am, the ball is on the spot. But instead of putting it in the back of the net, I've kicked the ground, and now FPL Harry and the Raptor and Let's Talk Andy, the Black Box, they're all laughing at me. They're all laughing at me and thinking, what a fool to put himself in this position. What a fool to put himself in the position where he could be embarrassed. He's never done anything like this before. And now we can all see him for the fraud he is. The FPL Nightmare puts the fraud in FPL. Well, maybe, but maybe not. Because in that game, I got back up. I dusted off my stubbed toe and I went and scored a hat-trick. And now I'm considering the hat-trick of transfers that may get my season back on track, get the momentum swinging back in my favour. And I've got a few options in mind. I've even made notes this time so that I don't just keep repeating everything I say twice. Right, so we're going to talk through the options because I've got to get to the allotment to water the allotment for my wife who's at work in this blazing sunshine. And, you know, these are the allotment is not the only place where seeds are growing, because the seeds of transfer City are growing in my mind, and that is a terrible, terrible turn of phrase. You can tell I don't plan these things, but this is what these reaction walking videos are all about. Just spouting nonsense off the top of your mind and getting into the FPL. So it's been a while since I've walked down this. This is on the way to Thacker Beck in my hometown. Thacker Beck, a place we used to, all these trees back here, we used to build tree houses in back when we were kids, as high up as we could get. Except I was always a bit too scared to climb as high as the other kids. And I was always a bit too scared of falling. And now I've put myself in a position where I could be facing the biggest fall of my FPL career, and the eyes of the world are on me. You see them all. You know, it's tough. It's a tough position to be in. I can't deny it. And it's one I've put myself in, but I'm up for the challenge. I am prepared to risk it all. And right, so we'll talk about my team. Really poor. I think I've ended up on 33 points, maybe 1 or 2 either way. It might be 34. Can't remember. And now I'm thinking, what can I do? What can I do to fix this situation? And I said on social media this morning, I'm prepared to take a -8. And honest to God, the reaction you get off people when you say you're prepared to take a hit in game week 2. Like, have these people never lived? Do they not know the unique rush that goes through your head when you do something a little bit stupid, a little bit risky, and it might pay off and it might not? But for that moment where the doubt is in the air, where the outcome is still to be determined, that is the moment of feeling alive. And that is what this game provides. Now, the question is, people are saying, why are you taking a hit? And I'm telling you why, because Cole Palmer was crap again. And like, he's been crap for months now. He said, don't knee-jerk, but is it a knee-jerk reaction to get rid of a player who has been poor for 8 months now, with the exception, of course, of a few friendly matches against South American teams in the summer? I don't know. I think it is. I think it is a bit of, I don't think it is reactionary. Sorry, people have just walked by, and I'm still not used to doing this. I've come to the quiet place, but this is, of course, where everybody walks the dogs down Thackerbeck, so it's a little bit awkward talking, really, when people are around. But the question is it reactionary to get rid of a player for a hit who has underperformed for months, and really the punt was starting with him in the first place, based on his recent form in the league? Now, is one game week against a resolute defence enough to say it's time to get rid? You see, I think it is. Because what we've learned is that Maresca still doesn't appreciate the tactics are wrong and incorrect for Cole Palmer to thrive. But it's not all about Cole Palmer for Chelsea. It's not all about Cole Palmer for Maresca. He's there to get league points on the table, not points on the FPL board. But me, all I care about is them FPL points. And I can hear you now, well, why are you prepared to sacrifice 8 of them on a gamble? Well, some might say it's an even bigger gamble to keep Cole Palmer. Because what else we learned? Haaland, goal. 2 goals for Haaland. And he's a good player, Haaland. He really is. No people around now, so I might talk a bit more freely. He's a really good player, Haaland. And yes, he was underwhelming last season, but he was still consistent with the goals, if not the hauls. He was still consistently scoring a goal every 2 games, 2 goals every 3 games. He just wasn't getting the 10, 12, 13 pointers that he started with. But what we also know is that Haaland always starts well. Always goes big at the start. Last year, the game week 2 hat-trick, which I had him for triple captain. Another gamble. People told me not to do it. There'll be a better opportunity. I don't think I did anything wrong there. But people don't like it when you go against the accepted wisdom. People don't like it when you take a chance that's a bit by the by. And I think that's why I've been getting the pelters. Maybe it's because I'm making videos. And you're not meant to make FPL videos and advocate early hits. You're meant to advocate the slow, steady approach, the accumulation of points. But who's going to accumulate more points over the next 5 game weeks, say? 4 game weeks. Haaland with a 4-point deficit, or Cole Palmer? Could go either way, really. You see, but I think it will be Haaland. And the thing is, how to get to him, because if I'm getting Haaland in for Palmer, it's a hit. It has to be at least 1 hit. Now, I could do it with 1 hit by selling Palmer for that king from Fulham and then get Haaland in for Bowen. I think that's a good move. I think that's a solid move, because at the minute, I have a benching dilemma. Because I've got Bowen, Strand, Larson, Watkins, Saka, Palmer, Reinders, Bruno Fernandes, and who's the other one? Saka, Palmer, Bruno Fernandes, Reinders, somebody else in midfield, I can't remember who. How embarrassing. Who the bloody hell is it? Saka, Palmer, Wirtz, of course, Wirtz. So yeah, Saka, Palmer, Wirtz, Reinders, Bruno Fernandes, And then up front, we've got Bowen, we've got Ollie Watkins, and we've got Jorgen Strand Larsen. And that is a benching dilemma for this week because, of course, Reinders, he proved he's up to the mustard, cut the mustard. So if we bring in this king for Palmer and we start Haaland, that solves the benching dilemma. Because I wouldn't be arsed about starting this king. But if he does anything, Price will rocket. So I think that's actually a good move. A -4, Palmer and Bowen to King and Haaland. But Haaland has Spurs, Brighton, Man United and Arsenal before that Burnley match. Now, they're not the easiest of fixtures, really. Certainly Arsenal's a tough one. But then you've got Spurs, Brighton and Man United. They aren't teams renowned for resolute defences. And yes, Spurs kept a clean sheet, but it was against Burnley now. Come on. Like, did they get like the lowest goals to ever get promoted from the Championship or something stupid? Whereas Palmer, though, West Ham, Fulham, Brentford, Man United. So they've both got Man United. Haaland's got Spurs, Brighton and Arsenal. Palmer has West Ham, Fulham and Brentford. Now, West Ham looked woeful. You would think advantage Palmer. Fulham, not very good. Certainly not as good as Brighton. Advantage Palmer. Brentford, diabolical. Again, advantage Palmer. Palmer has the games, but no form. No, he's got no pedigree at the minute, and it sounds crazy to say about Cole Palmer. Oh, he's got 18 months of pedigree. He's got 9 months now of nothing. If he was Enzo Fernandez rather than Cole Palmer, you wouldn't even consider him. But because he's 10.5 million Palmer, so that's it. Palmer's got the games, but Haaland has got the pedigree in the game, in the early season. He's got the goals already. Man City looks scintillating. But then you think, Palmer against West Ham, do I just wait a week? When Palmer is against West Ham, who's just conceded 3 goals to Sunderland. I mean, come on now. As if you're selling a player against a team that, in my eyes, have proven themselves up there with one of the worst defences in the league. Like, 3 goals to Sunderland, come on now. The problem is, like, why would Palmer turn it around now? Why would he turn it around now when he hasn't in all the other matches he's been crapping? Why would Cole Palmer suddenly remember how to switch it on now just because I need him for my FPL team? So if it's a -4, I actually think it's the right move, because ultimately I am going to want Haaland for that game against Burnley. So who's going to score the most in between times? I think Haaland can outscore Palmer by 4 points in the next 4 game weeks, even against the tougher teams, because these tougher teams are more inclined to attack as well, leaving that space. And I mean, it looks like Man City have changed the style up a bit more direct, which is going to play right into Haaland's hands. So I'm on that one. I quite like that one, but then I could take a -8, and this is what's really getting people's goat up. Why would you take a -8? Especially if you can fix it in a -4. Well, I'll tell you why. Because Wirtz. Now, look, we're not writing Wirtz off after 1 week. That would be absolutely foolish, because he's going to be an excellent player in this division. But the thing about Wirtz is he's up against Newcastle, and I don't really want to be relying on a player against Newcastle because I support Newcastle. So now maybe I could drop him. Maybe he could be the one I bench for Strand Larsen, and then I've got them 7 attackers, Wirtz on the bench. But then if he does anything, it's just going to be incredibly frustrating, even more so. So I could start Wirtz and hope that I get back into this mini league through a player scoring against my own team. I don't like that. And I should have thought about this before, and then I did. I considered this before the season began, and you think, what can you do? Like, you can't just go without none of Liverpool's attackers, even though they play your team, even though the fixtures aren't the best, because They're so good. And how stupid are you going to look if you have no Liverpool attackers? No Salah. I'm still fine with no Salah. Fine with no Gakpo. Wouldn't mind Ekatike, but not this week. So do I take that extra -4 and then instead of King, I could get Haaland in for Bowen. I could get Elliot Anderson in for Palmer. And then that fifth player, I could get that other player, I could get rid of Wirtz. And I've got a list of options here. Instead of Wirtz against Newcastle, Arsenal, Burnley and Everton, I could get in Semenyo. Wolves just conceded 4 goals at home. Great possibility there. But then Semenyo's got Spurs, Brighton and Newcastle. It's not exactly it's not a bad fixture run, but it's not something you'd be targeting specifically. Then you've got Cody Gakpo. I could just do Wirtz to Gakpo to generate the funds for Elliot Anderson rather than Josh King. And Gakpo though, Newcastle and Arsenal, not good games, but you'd have to think Liverpool are going to score against Arsenal, against Burnley and Everton. They're not scoring against Newcastle at all. They're coming to St James's Park and they are going to get a hiding. Liverpool are going to get punished for this summer of disruption, this summer of unsolicited nonsense that we've had to endure over our star striker, who they don't even want. They don't even want Isak, because if they did, they would have put a bid in that wasn't 40 million under the asking price. They would have come back with a better bid after it was rejected. If they really wanted Isak, they wouldn't have signed Ekatike, who we were going to get to replace him. Because if you really want a player, you don't sign the player whose transfer will facilitate you signing the player you want. Liverpool just want to give the impression of being after Isak for whatever reason. Is it geopolitical between the Saudis and Liverpool's owners? Is it to try and disrupt a up-and-coming rival ahead of the new season? Who knows? Who knows what Liverpool's motivations are? Certainly not to sign Isak, because if they wanted to sign him, they would have gone about it completely differently. And on Monday night, they're getting punished. I remember when Man United beat us to the title and they got punished 5-0. And what Liverpool has done is far more egregious. And with that in mind, I do think, instead of Gakpo, instead of Wirtz to Gakpo or Wirtz to Semenyo, tempted by Anthony Gordon. Wirtz to Anthony Gordon for a -8 in addition to Elliot Anderson and Erling Haaland. Now, Gordon didn't score at the weekend, but my God, he looked on it. Them attacking, he had so much, he was hungry. He was shooting from like 35 yards with pure power. You know, that sweatband he wears, which I could do with right now in this heat. I've only got a jacket on so I can clip my microphone to it. But, oh man, that sweatband seems to have given Anthony Gordon power. And like, you look at it, Liverpool, is Liverpool a fixture for Gordon to fear? I don't think so. Gordon's a big name player, big game player. He's scored against them all, put Arsenal to the sword repeatedly. Scored against Liverpool, scored against Man United, Man City, he scores against them all. You stick a big name in front of Gordon and he rises to the occasion. And now, with our hero, our legendary striker on strike, we need somebody to step up. And Anthony Gordon is a player that steps up. And now you look at Liverpool, that defence is wide open for pace, wide open for the counter-attack. Gordon's going to have a field day. Alanga's going to have a field day. And if you don't think Newcastle, Alanga had a few good chances and he made the wrong choice. And if you don't think Newcastle are working on Alanga breaking through and squaring it to Gordon over and over again right now, then you don't know what football training is all about, because I'm going to predict that's what's going to happen. Alanga's going to do Kirkes Kirkers are going to be up the field. Elanga's going to do him. Square it to Gordon. 1-0, 2-0, whatever it is. And 5-0, is it fanciful? Well, sometimes a team just deserves a hiding. And if there's ever a team that deserves a hiding after the carry on this summer, it's Liverpool. Although, you know, to be fair, they have been, you know, they have been through a lot this summer, Liverpool. And we pay respect. We do. And I'm not trying to conflate the issues. I remember on my last video, you know, sometimes when you're walking and talking and thinking off the top of the dome, you make these little stumbles. And I said about Reinders coming from an inferior country. Now, obviously, I meant an inferior league. And the Serie A is a great league, but it is inferior to the Premier League in various metrics, not least to UEFA coefficients, which determine the strength of a league. So, but yeah, I said inferior country rather than inferior league. Got a little bit of grief for that, but it's nothing that can't be easily explained by just saying, yes, I misspoke, which you don't actually get an awful lot of on the internet. Yes, I misspoke, but I did. So I want to watch my words carefully. Liverpool have been wonderful with regards to tragedy that club has endured this summer. The response from the club to the crap with Semenyo the other night seems to be wonderful, spot on. You know, the actions of that individual do not reflect on the club. But their conduct regarding Alexander Isak has been despicable. You know, the other day, Newcastle, it came out, Newcastle sent a directive to Liverpool to stop talking about Alexander Isak and using this client journalism to further the agenda. And you've barely heard a peep since from Romano, from Ornstein. But the way they've gone about trying to unsettle him without ever making a bid within £40 million of the asking price, it's despicable, like. And on Monday night they're going to get punished, and Anthony Gordon could well be the punisher. And after that, he's got Leeds, he's got Wolves, and then he's got Bournemouth. And I think they're all great games for Gordon. More people out than I thought there would be. A bit weird, again, talking. But this little bit here, we'll just walk up and down this alleyway till we're finished. I'm getting to the point, rambled a little bit. Probably have put a couple of cuts in by the time you see this, just to cut out some of the to and fro's when people have showed up. But yeah, Gordon, I think he's on it. I think he's motivated for the season with the World Cup ahead. I think he's motivated for Liverpool on Monday. Of course, Liverpool pulled out of a move for him last summer, left his head all over the shop, but he's sorted now. And of course, we're not going to talk about Isak, but of course that is something. Isak's head's all over the shop. Oh, how can he ever recover and get back to Newcastle? Anthony Gordon did it last year. Liverpool, point to prove, Gordon could do a lot of damage. Gordon could damage Wolves, he can damage Leeds. And at some point, Eddie Howe's going to have to go down to Bournemouth and win a game of football against him. And why not this week? Why not in 4 weeks? So I like that. I like Gordon. So that's... Anyway, I'm rambling a bit now. This has not been as sharp as I'd hoped, probably because there's more people around than I realised. But yeah, those are the options on the table. We have got do nothing, which, to be honest, I kind of like. Do nothing. I might even roll till game week 4 after the international break. Give these shirkers, these players that have let me down this week, give them the chance to redeem themselves for 2 weeks and then go into the international break with 3 free transfers. I quite like that. Of course, Saka has got a tough game after Leeds. Saka's run turn, so maybe Palmer does the business and I choose to get rid of Saka. Why not? Makes sense. So yeah, that's one option. Do nothing, roll my transfers, just keep rolling. The other option, -4, do Palmer and Bowen to Haaland and Josh King, And then I've got my sub option, no rotation issues. I quite like that as well. I like that one a lot. And then I've got the -8, Palmer, Wirtz and Bowen to Elliot Anderson, Haaland and Anthony Gordon. And I don't have any Newcastle, and it would feel right to have a Newcastle player in my team. So I like it. And they tell you, you can't be out here taking hits in game week 2. You can't take a -8 in game week 2 and expect to win FPL. And I'm saying, who are you to tell me that? How many times have you won the game? Because I imagine it's the same as me, a big fat 0. And maybe you've lost better than me in the past, but I'm not here to make up the numbers. I'm here to win. And I want to win that I want to win. I want to be the world #1. And the first step of doing that is winning this Nightmares Dreamers, this mini league of absolute killers. And I'm right at the bottom right now. But maybe, and the -8 would absolutely cement me to the bottom. But maybe that's a story that needs to be told, from the bottom to the top. Who knows? I'm going to go home. I'm going to go to the allotment and water the allotment. Make these seeds of thought a bit more fertile. Going to cook some spaghetti bolognese. See what happens in the football. Hope Steve-O ends the game week top of the Nightmares Dreamers mini league. And then maybe I'll make a decision tonight. If the price rises don't seem to be happening, maybe I'll buy myself another day. Let me know in the comments, because I'm quite enjoying the reaction I'm getting to this talk of taking hits. Can't understand it myself. Like, why are you trying to talk me out of it when you're trying to beat me? I don't know. Thanks for watching. We will see you next time.